Hello everyone and welcome to another Let's Play of The Royal Trap by Hanako Games. My name is Anna Mardal and today we're going to go through Chapter 7 of the playthrough for Gaston's good ending. Chapter 7 is the last chapter, so we'll be seeing an ending today. When we last left our narrative in Chapter 6, there was some mystery around where Princess Cassidy had been hidden in the castle, and so Madeline has been biding her time, getting to know Gaston and Colette, trying to gather clues but not really having a lot of luck at it. And then Gaston was on his way to a music performance in the evening where we hoped Cassidy would find a way to communicate with him where she is and what she wants us to do. So, let's start at Chapter 7. It is late in the evening when Gaston returns, a spring in his step and a sparkle in his eye. My beloved calls on us for aid. It is wonderful news. He grabs Colette's hands and pulls her close. Monsieur, no. Ah, my apologies. My enthusiasm sweeps me away like a cork on the tide. Tide! Yes, I bring good tidings. He reaches into his jacket and pulls out a folded piece of paper, which he presents to me with a flourish. A secret communication from the Princess Cassidy. With trepidation, I open it and read. They're keeping her in Oscar's rooms? It does make a certain amount of sense. Oscar's rooms were already known to be under guard, so moving Cassidy there wouldn't attract any new attention. Gaston even mentioned the guard detail stationed there, and I thought nothing of it. This is good news. With her willing collusion, it should be child's play to slip back through my old window. If they haven't removed all of our old possessions, I can even replace my gloves there. I wonder if that means Oscar is now in Cassidy's bedroom. Did you have a chance to speak to Oscar? Ah, we exchanged nods. It is enough. More important is that I spent the evening warming myself by the fire of my beloved's regard. I suppose counting on Gaston to pay much attention to another man is an unlikely prospect. You will go to her, yes? You will carry out her wishes? I'll need to wait a bit longer to be sure she's had time to return to her rooms and settle in. It wouldn't do to run into her guards now after waiting so carefully. Of course, I trust you to know what is best. Good luck. The journey to what was once my window is not without its own worries. The growing dark makes it more difficult to see hazards and handholds, and I am still without my equipment. Cassidy might have been moved again without her foreknowledge. Guards might be on duty even inside the rooms. Given my current reputation, a guard recognizing me might attack with deadly force on sight, and I no longer have weapons of my own. Alert and prepared to flee, I make my entrance. Quietly, quietly. Madeline! Your Highness, I am at your disposal, but perhaps we should speak more quietly. It's all right. Even if I screamed for them to let me out, I doubt they'd listen. Thank you for coming. Thank you for everything. I am so sorry about the way you've been treated so far. And I'm not sure that things are going to get any better. What do you mean? What have you learned so far? Only that the soldier who attacked you was somehow connected to your Aunt Marie, the Grandessa. As for Dolores, I know nothing. I spoke with your mother, who claimed that she had to blame your abduction on me in order to avoid executing that girl. I suppose it's possible they took her away to punish her somewhere else. No, they didn't. They reassigned her as Caelim's valet. What? That's ridiculous. She couldn't even serve properly as a page, a role intended for a child. Promoting her is an insult to all companions. Caelim was not pleased with the situation, but he almost seems to expect cruelty from our parents by now, knowing what I do of the way they have treated him. I thought they loved me. I always felt so safe, so protected and happy. I had all the beautiful dresses and toys and jewelry I could want, and everyone was kind to me. And yet, Caleb... They still care about Caleb enough to want to protect his reputation at least. Or their own. Putting him together with Dolores is cruel to both of them. They despise each other. No, neither of them could sleep easily with the other nearby. Perhaps they're each supposed to be watching the other. Caleb wouldn't trust Dolores far enough to take his eyes off her, and if she is someone's agent, she could be spying on him as well. What would be the point? So many lies, so many hidden purposes. That's how politics is. It's a game of maneuvers and bluffing. I still don't understand Dolores, though. She doesn't act like someone worth this much trouble to save. Why would... Stop, please. I don't care about Dolores. I'm sorry. I thought you were trying to figure out your parents' motives. I'm afraid that I know their motives, some of them, but if it's true, I don't know what to do. If what is true? I took your advice. I don't understand. There, look. She gestures at a stack of books piled by a couch. They weren't here earlier. I assume she brought reading material for her confinement. Then I see the title of the top volume, The Myriad Ways by Sylvia de Gauzier, possibly the world's most famous collection of erotic engravings. You were looking at this? Oh. I saw you when you were dressing in my gown. I don't look like you, and I had to find out. I asked the guards to bring me these books, and I saw the bodies of women and men without their clothes. I don't look like them. Any of them. Not the men, and not the women. My body. What am I? Who am I? Am I Cassidy? Am I Caspian? If Caleb was right, they've kept us apart. They've lied to us both my whole life, also I would never realize. I can only shake my head. It's too much for me to take in. If everything I've ever believed about myself is wrong, if I am Caspian, what do I do? Am I supposed to become a prince? To fight and drink and boast? To win a bride? Who can I be now? I try to imagine what I would do if I suddenly discovered I were male, but I can't. It's impossible, inconceivable. What I am, I have always been. How could I be anything else? I can see how frightened and upset the princess is, but I don't know how to comfort her. If Cassidy is neither man nor woman, what else does that leave? If she is not a woman, if she is Caspian, then by rights she cannot inherit the wisdom. No wonder Frederick and Paloma would pay any cost to hide the truth. But if Cassidy is not a man, then what is the truth? Guelenor's heir, or its lost prince? A distraught young woman, or a confused young man? Or something else altogether? We're going to choose, what does your heart tell you? I always thought it was impossible for someone to choose their own destiny, that we are who we are and must learn to accept it. But who do you think you are? Who do you want to be? Do you feel in your heart that Caleb was right? Does Caspian feel like your true self? Or do you feel that Cassidy is who you really are? I don't know what to think. I've always been myself, without thinking about what myself means. And the self I've always been is Cassidy. I don't want to be someone else. But that was before I saw that you were different from other girls. I know. But everyone is different. There is no one way to be a woman. What you saw in that book, did you also see that some women thrive on the attentions of men, while others love their own kind? So you see, we are not all the same. That may be true, but If I was born Caspian, doesn't that make a difference? If you were, somehow, Caspian at one point, you clearly aren't Caspian anymore. I don't have any idea how such a thing could have been done, nor do I have any idea whether it would be possible to undo it. You may never have been Caspian. You may have been born a little different. Sometimes people are. There is a scullion, an Osendaur, with 6 fingers on one hand. However you came to be here, the person that you are now is Cassidy. Then it's all right for me to be me? Yes. Her eyes drift closed, and her slim figure quivers with relieved laughter. I think I needed to hear that. Still, if it were discovered that there is something unusual about me, there would be trouble, wouldn't there? That's why my parents have tried so hard to hide it. Yes. If it were believed that Cassidy is Caspian, and therefore not the rightful heir to the wisdom, chaos would be unleashed. Such a scandal could bring down the entire royal family. She would be lucky to escape with her life. Even if it were only made known that she is abnormal in a womanly way, it would throw the future succession into doubt, as she would be unable to produce an heir of the flesh. I suspect your parents are hoping to have you safely married off before anyone can find out. Which, pause. That is just so... Again, I keep coming back to, how was this supposed to work as far as her parents were concerned? Because being like, haha, surprise, would be so dangerous for Cassidy. We at least the world we live in a world where people regularly kill trans people, and it's just accepted by a lot of members of our society that they were panicked or frightened, or the passion of the moment, couldn't help it. That I don't know how her parents thought they were helping her, but this is not help. This put her in an incredibly dangerous position. And okay, so maybe they didn't have a lot of choices, but this was a bad choice to take. And so, I mean, again, we see her that, and I mean, in this sense, it is realistic that parents can be nice and personable and lovable, and yet abusive. And Caleb and Cassidy's parents are nice and personable and lovable when they choose to be, when they need to be. They are still incredibly abusive. And so, just the idea of trying to keep Cassidy ignorant and marry her off to somebody and just assume that this was all going to be okay, really bad idea. Now, maybe they were hoping or anticipating like a super long courtship and the ability to explain things to Cassidy and her betrothed slowly over time. I don't know, maybe there was some possible plan that makes this slightly less incredibly dangerous for Cassidy, but this right here, incredibly dangerous for Cassidy. Not good parenting, not good allyship, not, in my opinion, not good being a person. Like, failing at humanity. Okay, sorry, soapbox. I suspect your parents are hoping to have you safely married off before anyone can find out. Oh. Cassidy takes a slow breath. If you don't mind, I need a few minutes to think. Quietly. Of course. It is a very sensible thing for her to suggest. I, too, could use time to organize my thoughts. How do I benefit from this situation? Of course, I want to help Cassidy, but the simple fact is that my position is highly precarious. By escaping from the dungeon, I negated my earlier bargain with the crown of Guelinor. Osendaur is also unlikely to approve of my current actions. Were I to leave this palace now, my very life would be in danger. To save myself, I must perform a great service for someone powerful enough to reward me. preferably someone who can release me from the burden of my earlier false confession. Princess Cassidy is the obvious choice, but at the moment her parents are curtailing her power by keeping her locked away. And yet they do not wish to appear as if they are imprisoning her. She is still making appearances at all the events scheduled to celebrate her anniversary, still being allowed to converse freely with the guests. If she is willing to take bold action... Well, she was willing once before, wasn't she? She stormed into my prison cell, filled with plans and indignation, with a gentle nudge in the correct direction. But before I can take that idea any further, Cassidy clears her throat. I'm afraid that I have another confession. Oh? I had a great deal of time to myself here earlier today, with little to do but read and think. I was curious, so I amused myself by looking at a few of your belongings, and I found the letter that Prince Oscar wrote to you. Oh. He is in love with you, isn't he? So we have a couple of options of unfortunately yes or he only thinks he is. I'm going to pick he only thinks he is. Innocent infatuation. Other than his sisters, I am the only woman he's ever known. From what I've read, you may not be giving him enough credit. Do you love him? He is my very good friend, but that is all. I'm certainly not romantically involved with him if you wanted my blessing. No, that's not it. I wanted to know what you know about love. Very little, I'm afraid. You love your family, of course. Do I? I wouldn't want anything bad to happen to them, but at the same time, I'm quite happy never to see them again. Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. Don't worry yourself. They are not terrible people. I was never endangered or abandoned. They had a plan for me. They raised me to be clever and calm and resilient and patient. I do owe them some loyalty. But love? Colette, Gaston's maid, said that whenever she has a day off, she goes home to see her family. I don't. Aren't you lonely? I have Oscar. Had, I suppose. That has to change now, but I'll always care about him. What do you mean it has to change? Aha, here is my opening. Your parents forced me to confess to kidnapping you and deferred my punishment to Osendower. I can't go back there. I would end up in another dungeon. But you didn't do anything wrong. Prince Oscar knows that. Even my parents know that. Even if they believe that, the record shows that I am a villain. Employing me would shame and weaken them in the eyes of others. I could make an announcement that my parents were mistaken. That would shame them and put you in direct conflict. It would be more effective to make a pronouncement that appeared to be in their interests, something they could not challenge. And that brings me back to the same place. What same place? Love. I'm not sure I'm following what you're thinking. If I make a pronouncement, if I declare an engagement, then my parents will be satisfied. Yes, they might be. But that's not a light thing to choose. A marriage, that's the rest of my life. And what about love? I know that should not be my primary concern. I know my duty. And yet, must I rule it out, always and forever? What your Oscar wrote to you was so beautiful. Even if his love is destined to go unanswered, it was pure. No one has ever written such things to me. Actually, they have. What? I heard it from Colette. Prince Gaston writes you love letters on a regular basis. He does? I've never seen one. It would be improper for you to be receiving such letters when you weren't of eligible age. You mean, somewhere there might be a secret cache of letters for me? Possibly, or your family might have destroyed them. There's no way to know. Prince Gaston is utterly devoted to you, and has been for some time. Your Highness, are you enamored of Prince Gaston? He is both bold and gentle, a staunch defender of justice and truth, and a lover of beauty. If I were to choose someone right now that I would wish to marry, then... But you're wrong. If he has been writing to me since long before we ever met, then it isn't me he was devoted to. He knew nothing of me except my image, an image which is a lie. I must speak with him privately, with no one realizing. But how? What entertainment is scheduled for tomorrow? A performance of Theory's Roar to the Tiger. Then we may be able to plan. After finishing my conversation with Princess Cassidy, I returned by way of stealth to Gaston's chambers. Decisions have been made, and the consequences are yet to come, but the rest of the world continues unchanged and unknowing. You return! Tell me, how fares my sweet Cassidy? Are we to ride to her rescue? Challenge every guard in our path? You did reach her, did you not? Yes, we have a plan. It is daring and dramatic, and will require you to challenge convention for the sake of love. A man could do no less. Tomorrow, then, we have arranged a way for you to meet with Princess Cassidy in secret. There, if you are willing to swear yourself to her, she has a very important question to ask of you. Could it be a proposal? Oh, glorious tomorrow! Monsieur, you must not overly excite yourself, or you will never sleep. Yes, of course, we must rest and take pleasure in the sweetness of dreams to restore ourselves. Ah, there is a difficulty. I have no spare bed for a second maid. Miss Valois may have my bed. I will sleep on the floor. We have an option here, thank you, or we could share. We're going for the good ending, so we're going to share. I don't wish to put you out. It's not necessary. Surely it's possible for us to share. Share? Ah, the spirit of kindness and sharing. It is a beautiful thing to see. Both my maids are such generous souls. Yes, sir. Now I must retire for the evening. This face requires uninterrupted slumber to maintain its beauty. Once he's gone, I spread my hands in apology. I didn't mean to pressure you. I simply didn't want you to suffer on my behalf. If you are uncomfortable... No, it's all right. I don't mind if you don't. Then it's settled. And now we have this really sweet picture of the two of them in bed together. And I told you we're going for the good ending. So Madeline is kind of Utena to her Anthe. And it's very sweet. After completing our nightly rituals, Colette and I take up positions under the sheets. While clearly designed for only a single occupant, these beds are still intended to impress upon visitors the wealth and comfort that Guelinor has to offer. There is room enough, so long as neither of us develops the urge to kick and thrash. Is it all right? It's fine. Relax. I know this isn't what you're used to. It's still a great deal more comfortable than a dungeon cell. Oh. This isn't what you're used to either. Well, it is, but... Oh, yes, I suppose you might share a bed with... That is not what I'm saying. At home, my sisters and I share a room. One room for the three of you? Yes, we're very lucky. Oh. How different her life is from my own. I can't remember it through my own eyes, but I know that when I was very small, I sometimes wandered from my bed in the dark of night. There were times when my sister, Juliette, shared my sheets in order to ensure I stayed there. She could not sleep with the sound of my feet roaming the halls. I wonder if we talked like this, together in the night. I wonder if she told me stories or stroked my hair. Imagining Colette with her sisters, all snuggled together, laughing and whispering and happy, makes me miss things that I never knew were possible. Of course, in her case, she is the older sister, isn't she? But she's not old at all. Even after the rougher life she may have lived, she's clearly years younger than myself. Her sisters must still be children. If Colette comforts them, then who comforts Colette? Her lovers? It's difficult to picture such a shy and timid maid engaged in torrid affairs with women. Now that I think about it, she never even confirmed that she is inclined in that direction. When I confronted her, she froze up completely. Is it possible that it was nothing but a fantasy of Gaston's? He said a cruel woman toyed with Colette's heart and crushed her spirits. Why would anyone do such a thing? Colette? The only answer is her quiet breathing. Oh. She must have drifted off to sleep while I was lost in my own head. She looks so small there in the bed beside me. Why does the sight of her make me smile and feel sad at the same time? Sorry. This girl. I don't know why anyone would want to hurt her. For tonight, at least, she is no longer alone. Good night, Colette. I close my eyes and fall into the night. The next morning, we prepare to set our plan into action. Cassidy is kept under close observation from the moment she leaves Oscar's rooms to the moment she enters them. Guards pace behind and ahead of her, keeping watch for lurking dangers. They would never leave her alone in a room without first checking it for occupants and then blocking all doors while she was inside. Of course, that isn't enough to keep me away, especially when she is so kind as to unlock windows for me. Prince Gaston, however, cannot make use of the same methods, and his presence is the one that is required. In order for Cassidy to claim a secret engagement, she must first meet with Gaston privately, make her proposal, and be accepted. The guards would never allow it, and any attempt to attack them or lure them away would raise the alarm. The answer, therefore, is not to lure them away, but instead for Cassidy to vanish from their midst without them even realizing it. And I meant to do Tenna earlier, and now we're going to have a play, a shadow play. Today's entertainment for the noble festivities is a performance of Thierry's Roared the Tiger, a famous tragedy. Eva, a scout in the service of her king, finds a young man named Leon, about to become the prey of a great cat. Eva attacks the cat and rescues Leon, and the two fall madly in love. However, Leon is already engaged to the princess of an enemy kingdom. Not wanting to destroy his future, and believing he is better off without her, Eva insults and rejects Leon, driving him away. Heartbroken, Leon wonders if Eva was only using him to undermine her kingdom's enemies and learn their secrets. He journeys to the far kingdom and meets his bride-to-be, but he cannot forget Eva. A crown is not worth more than her love. Hoping that perhaps it was all a misunderstanding, he writes her a letter, begging her to return to him. Eva receives the letter and curses her folly. She attempts to sneak across the border into the enemy kingdom, but she is spotted and shot down by a guard's arrow. Eva survives, but too late to stop the wedding. In despair, she returns to her homeland alone. Years later, Leon's royal wife takes ill and dies. Believing this to be her one chance for reconciliation, Eva sets out for the border. She uses every secret she has learned over the years to work her way past enemy lines and avoid pursuit. Eva reaches the castle and scales the tower walls to Leon's bedroom, tumbling dramatically through the window. Seeing what he thinks is an assassin, Leon prepares to defend himself. At the last moment, he recognizes his lost love, the woman who betrayed and abandoned him. Furious words are exchanged, leading to a struggle, the former lovers now at risk of killing each other. Yet unknown to either, soldiers from Eva's kingdom have followed her trail and are using her distraction to assault the enemy castle. And at this point, when all eyes are on the stage, all watchers breathless, Princess Cassidy can slip out of the royal balcony without her guards being aware. With all the guests occupied by entertainment, Only the rare servant can be seen in the hallways at this time. Colette and I linger in the hallways by a cloth-covered table, playing at being busy while we wait. I know roughly how long the play runs, but I can only guess at when Cassidy might manage to break free. If she fails or changes her mind, or if the guards realize and pursue her too quickly. Mathilde? Are you there? Yes, Your Highness. And this must be your friend, Colette. But where is Gaston? He insisted on. The surface of the table ripples and heaves. The cloth is tossed aside, and Gaston rises to his feet. Fair angel! Hiding. He did have a point. A guest of his stature should not have been lingering here openly all this time. At last we are here together, away from the eyes of the world. Let there be no further barriers to my devotion. I will fight through hordes of villains, or carry you from this place upon my back if you desire. Escape is not exactly why I'm here. My passion urges me too strongly. Your illuminated highness, I humbly await your command. I don't wish to command you. I only want you to listen to what I have to say. Perhaps we should retire to a side room, somewhere less visible. Why should we hide ourselves now? There is nothing for us to be ashamed of. He doesn't know. That's why we're here. I promised Cassidy that I would tell him nothing, and I haven't. But what if he can't accept her once he hears the truth? Prince Gaston, you have been a fair and true ally in my time of need. Now that I am adult in the eyes of the land, it is my desire to step outside the shell in which I have been caged. My family has held me in such for my own protection, to ensure the royal succession. Therefore, in order to quiet their fears, I need to act on that issue. My princess? Prince Gaston, You are a kind and a brave man, with a loving heart and a wonderful sense of style, and I could see myself spending my life in your company. But before I ask you that question, there is something you need to know. I am not... These clothes hide it, but my body is different and strange. I am not beautiful. I am not a complete woman. I will never be able to bear children. That is why my parents were so afraid. They were sure that no one would ever want me if they knew the truth. And I understand if you don't. My dear princess, Cassidy. He raises his hands to his face. Monsieur! And gently removes the wig of golden curls. I, too, am not so beautiful without my fine clothes, wigs, and paint. All of us in life rely upon a certain amount of artifice in order to present ourselves to the world. These jeweled sparkles, they reflect a true part of me. They show you how I wish to be seen. I'm sorry, I'm crying. I can do this. These jeweled sparkles, they reflect a true part of me. They show you how I wish to be seen. But this face underneath, this is also Gaston. This heart needs no gold to be itself. Sweet Cassidy, I wish to know you in all your faces and layers, but there is one which I already know. In your heart, you are a true princess, and you are beautiful. You are too sweet. He replaces his wig. Too sweet? For you? Never. Prince Gaston of Bardouin, will you do me the honor of consenting to become my husband? Yes, I will. It is only at this moment that the guards arrive. Unhand her, you ruffian! Behind me, fair angel! I will defend you. Wait, this isn't... Your rank will not defend you, kidnapper. I'll never let you have her. If you'll all just step back for a moment. It was my intention to calm the proceedings. Unfortunately, speaking up caused the suspicious guard's eyes to fall on me and see straight through my disguise. The infiltrator! As one, the guards draw their weapons. We are unarmed. This is not good. And then someone steps in front of me. Stop it! Leave her alone! Colette! Colette has grabbed up the fallen tablecloth. Holding it in one hand, she waves it like a whip at the approaching guards. They pause in their approach, more out of surprise than anything else. She certainly can't pose a real threat to them. But if they attack her... All of you, halt! Gentlemen, stand down. I am in no danger. Gaston, I do not need defending from my own guards. They are here to serve me. That is the truth, is it not? Your Highness, you should not be here. We will take this woman into custody and return you to... You will do nothing of the sort. Your royal parents command that you obey the crown of Guelenor and keep me safe, and that is just what you will do. Rahl, Armand, with me, you will be my defense. You will not harm any of my companions, including Miss Valois. Dennett, the rest of you, return to the theater. Inform my parents and the assembled guests that I have an announcement to make. You will not bring me to my mother and father. You will bring them to me. We will meet in the presentation hall shortly, and bring Oscar of Osendower as well. Now go. For a moment, the guards hesitate, uncertain whose commands should take priority. But Cassidy's words are firm and confident, and not exactly unreasonable. By insisting that some guards remain at her side, she allows them to fulfill their original orders and obligations. With that in place, why reject her other requests? She is the princess after all. More than that, her orders included a command to report to the king in his wisdom, which they no doubt want to do anyway. Cassidy has maneuvered them right where she wants them. They have no choice but to obey. Ah, my princess, so bold, so strong. As long as I have your shoulder to lean on, I can be. I turn away from the new-formed couple to the girl who still holds a useless bit of fabric in her hands. Colette, what were you thinking? I wasn't. Please don't frighten me that way. I thought you might be hurt. They wanted to hurt you. Well, I'd rather me than... This is a senseless argument, isn't it? Thank you for caring. I'm glad that we are both all right. Yes. It's almost over now. Once Cassidy speaks, I can take off this disguise and everything will be back to normal. More or less. She doesn't seem entirely pleased. I wonder why. Surely she's not jealous of Cassidy and Gaston. It must be delayed shock from the excitement. She'll be fine in a minute. We all will be now. Everything is going to be all right. Epilogue: The Engagement. And so, at last, we return to the grand presentation hall. There is no need for us to hide any more. We have run the gauntlet and emerged on the far side in triumph. Princess Cassidy mounts the dais to deliver her formal statement, The Shape of Things to Come. Lords and ladies of Guelenor, noble guests, and my esteemed parents, it is my great pleasure to announce to you my engagement to Prince Gaston of Bardouin. That tidbit falls like a stone into a pool, sending ripples of scandalized whispers outward. I realize that this may come as a great surprise, but our bond is secure. We look forward to planning a wedding to be held in the next year. None of this would have been possible without the aid of our very dear friends, including Miss Valois of Osendower. At the request of the royal family of Guelenor, she has acted the role of a dark agent in order to flesh out dangers to the crown. We are grateful for her assistance and wish to offer her a new position in our future royal court. What? Stay in Guelinor with Cassidy and Gaston? I had expected the pardon and hoped for some reward, but... Your Highness, I am honored. Wait! Oscar pushes his way through the crowd. You don't really want to stay here, do you? I've been so worried with all the rumors. I wasn't sure if you'd run away or been captured or worse. I'm sorry. With everything that was going on, I didn't dare try to reach you. I know. I should have trusted that you would be all right. You're too clever for them. But it's over now, and we can go back home. I missed you. He's not wrong. I could go back to Osendower with him. My name has been cleared. I can, if I choose, remain his loyal servant. Or is there another place where I might belong? Cassidy and Gaston have turned away, now busy speaking to King Prydric and wise Paloma about the arrangements for their wedding. The eyes of the crowd have followed the princess and her prince. No one is watching our little drama. No one, except Colette. So we have a couple of options here. We can stay in Guelinor or we can return with Oscar. Now, it's my understanding I need to actually test and be sure, but I believe that if we go back with Oscar, we'll get the normal ending for Prince Gaston, which there is a Steam achievement for that. So I'll come back and do that, but we want the good ending, so we're gonna stay in Guelinor with Colette and Gaston and Cassidy. I missed you too, but your future and mine can't go in the same direction. As long as I'm with you, we fall into the old patterns of me telling you what to do. I think this is the time for us to change. I don't want things to change, but they have to. When you're married with your new wife and new home, I can't stay with you. One way or another, we would have always ended with goodbye. This is for the best, for both of us. With my help, Princess Cassidy overcame the obstacles to seize hold of her own fate. Now it falls to us to do the same for ourselves. So, you will stay? Truly? Perhaps by the time of the wedding, you'll have managed to teach me embroidery. Perhaps. And so, some months later, it came to pass. And which one of you caught the bouquet? We both did. Well then, you'll just have to share. Colette hides her blush behind the flowers, and her fingers tighten on mine. Life is different now. I have a new home, new friends, and new hope for the future. Oscar and I still keep in touch through letters. He hasn't found a bride yet, but I'm sure he will in time. He sent a bit of correspondence from my family as well. My sister Juliet is planning her own wedding and has invited me to visit. I haven't decided. Perhaps I will, if Colette goes with me. And that is our happy ending for Prince Gaston. And of all the endings I've seen so far, it is very definitely my favorite. I like that Cassidy is happy and she's with someone who is wonderful, and I think that they deserve happiness together. And I love that Madeline and Colette back there in the background are so very happy too. So that is how we get the good Gaston alliance. And let's see, I'm gonna take just a second here and load up. I haven't done this one because you saw from my pictures I've done the good Gaston ending and the good Oscar ending and the no alliance ending. I believe that the normal Gaston ending is a return with Oscar, so we'll do that one. I miss you too. Colette, please tell Her Highness that I am honored by her offer, This is not my home. Yes, milady. Sad. Colette can talk to Cassidy for me when the princess is a little less busy. So you're not upset that I have been helping Prince Gaston woo the princess? Of course I am. Cassidy deserves better. Be careful what you say about the future king of Gualenor, my lord. Right. And so I am publicly redeemed from my disgrace. More than that, the interest and gossip that spreads from this event may increase my profile in other courts. No doubt Oscar will receive a great many more invitations in the years to come, and I will be there as always, his loyal valet. We have played at politics and won. Everyone benefits. Even Cassidy's parents will be pleased. And yet, in a way, nothing has changed. My future remains as uncertain as it was on the night we began. The only difference is that now I have faced the fire and been strengthened by it. With my help, Princess Cassidy overcame the obstacles to seize hold of her own fate. Now it falls to me to do the same for myself. I will choose my own path. And that is the normal ending for Prince Gaston. And see, we've got a little blue and white striped heart there. So that was, wow, 7 chapters and at like 40 minutes each. So if you're still watching these, then pat yourself on the back or something, because you've been through an endurance test. Thank you so much for watching, listening along with me. I do hope to go back through and do some of the other paths. Obviously, there's a whole bunch of them. I'm not super terribly interested in getting the bad endings, but the good endings especially I'd like to collect. Definitely, like, comment in the comments if you have any ideas on how I should move forward with this in terms of, like, reading all the text all over or just the new stuff, because there is, you know, it's a graphic novel game. There's a skip button, so for the stuff that you've already seen, but that could end up making any paths we do kind of disjointed, but on the other hand it would at least be a little bit faster. Let me know what your personal preference is, and if you're a subscriber, thank you so much. I'm always amazed that people like these videos. That makes me very happy. So once again, this has been The Royal Trap by Hanako Games. My name is Anna Mardal, and I will see you in the next video.